Sometimes, a single fingerprint is all it takes. One smudge of oil, one ridge pattern, one careless slip. It's easy to miss in the chaos, but for investigators, that tiny fragment can be everything. In the case of Allison Grant, it was the only clue that made sense. The clue that cracked everything wide open. Or so it seemed. Allison Grant lived in Clear Ridge, Montana. A quiet town nestled against rolling hills and pine-covered backroads. Population just under 8,000. A place where people leave their front doors unlocked and borrow sugar from neighbors without a second thought. Nothing truly bad ever happened in Clear Ridge. Until the morning of September 14, 2021. It started with a missed shift. Allison was the senior librarian at Clear Ridge County Library. She opened every morning at 7. Rain or snow. Never late. Never absent without notice. But that morning the doors stayed locked. The lights were off. And Allison didn't answer her phone. Her coworker, Dana Levesque, was the first to notice. She tried calling, texting. No response. At 7:22 a.m., Dana drove past Allison's house and noticed something strange. The car was in the driveway. Lights off, curtains drawn, but the front door was slightly open. Dana called 911. Not hysterical, just worried. She kept saying, "It's not like her. She's never late." Police arrived just after 7:30. The house was eerily quiet. The door had not been forced open, but there were signs something had gone wrong. In the kitchen, a broken ceramic mug lay shattered on the floor. A thin smear of blood trailed across the counter. A chair had been knocked over. There were scuff marks near the back door. And most concerning of all, Allison Grant was nowhere to be found. Her purse was still in the entryway. Her phone charging by the bed. Car keys untouched. Nothing had been taken. Nothing except Allison. Detective Marcus Bell was assigned to the case. He described the scene as quiet panic. There was no obvious sign of struggle, but it wasn't right. The house felt interrupted, as if someone had arrived unexpectedly and left abruptly. Officers canvassed the neighborhood. No one had seen Allison leave. No cameras captured her movements. There were no signs of forced entry. The back door was closed but unlocked. The trail of blood ended just outside. They brought in dogs. Searched the wooded areas behind her home. Drones were deployed. A helicopter scanned nearby fields. But nothing. No body. No torn clothing. No phone signal. No answers. 3 days into the investigation, crime scene techs found something. On the handle of the broken mug. Partial fingerprint. Smudged but readable. They entered it into the database, hoping for a match. But nothing came back. And so suspicion turned inward. Friends, co-workers, ex-husband, anyone with a connection to Allison became a person of interest. Her ex, Brian Grant, had an alibi. He was in Billings the night before. Video footage from a hotel confirmed it. He'd moved on, had a new girlfriend, no history of violence. Co-workers described Allison as kind, quiet, helpful. No recent arguments. No strange behavior. But someone mentioned that in the weeks before she vanished, Allison seemed distracted. She started locking the doors at the library. She kept checking the rearview mirror when leaving work. When asked, she just said, "It's nothing, just a feeling." Investigators pulled phone records, texts, emails. Nothing alarming. Her last message was to Dana, saying, "See you bright and early," sent at 9:45 p.m. the night before. That message would be the last known contact from Allison Grant. The case slowed. With no suspects and no hard evidence, leads dried up. Search parties dwindled. Media coverage faded. Until October 22nd. A routine traffic stop changed everything. Officer Carla Mendoza pulled over a black Honda Civic with a broken taillight just outside Clear Ridge. The driver was cooperative, calm, identified himself as Daniel Kerns. 34. No priors. Local address, but unfamiliar to officers. During the stop, Officer Mendoza noticed his hands. Small scars, healed lacerations just beneath the knuckles. When asked, He claimed he'd been helping a friend move a broken window frame. She took note of it, added it to the incident report. A small detail, almost insignificant except for what happened next. As part of a new department-wide initiative, Daniel's fingerprint was collected and added to the state database. It was policy for minor infractions, a new measure to bolster missing persons and cold case investigations. 3 days later, that fingerprint hit a match. It was the same partial print found on the broken mug in Allison Grant's kitchen. Detectives brought Daniel Kerns in for questioning. He denied knowing Allison, said he'd never met her, never been to her home. When asked how his fingerprint got inside her house, on a piece of broken evidence, he said maybe he'd touched something she later bought secondhand. Investigators pressed harder, asked about his movements on the night of September 13th. Daniel claimed he was home alone. No witnesses, no surveillance, no alibi. They searched his apartment. In the trunk of his car, beneath a loose panel, they found a scarf. Light blue, stained, faintly scented with lavender. Allison's sister later identified it as one she wore often. A gift from their mother, one of her favorites. Still, there was no DNA on the scarf. No blood. No physical evidence linking Daniel to an act of violence. Just the fingerprint and the scarf. Enough to raise suspicion. Not enough to file charges. The district attorney reviewed the case, declined to prosecute. There was no proof of a struggle. No body. No witness. No motive. And without a confession, the case stalled once again. Daniel Kerns moved out of Clear Ridge shortly after his release. His current location is unknown. To this day, he has never been officially named a suspect. Allison Grant remains missing. Her family continues to search. Every year, they organize a vigil in the town square. Grace Grant, Allison's sister, still visits the house, keeps her room untouched, holds on to hope. She says, "The worst part is not knowing if she's alive, not knowing what happened, and knowing the person who does know is free." The fingerprint was the key. It opened a door. But behind that door, there was nothing. Just silence. Just shadows. The case remains open. Unresolved. Some believe Daniel Kerns was involved. That he slipped through the cracks. Others say the match was circumstantial. That the fingerprint was a red herring. But one thing is certain. Someone was in that house with Allison. Someone shattered the mug. Someone left that smear of blood. Someone walked out the back door into the night, unnoticed, uncaught, unnamed, and somewhere, that someone still walks free. If you have any information regarding the disappearance of Allison Grant, contact the Clear Ridge Police Department. No lead is too small. Sometimes the smallest clue can crack everything wide open, just like a single fingerprint. Thank you for watching. If you found this story compelling, subscribe for more real-life mysteries and unresolved crimes. Stay alert, stay curious, and remember, truth leaves a trace.